Last time on Rise of the Ruticai. The party returned to the mountains to investigate the site where they had fought a battle with a band of Shemitians, only to find that a blast of fire had demolished the area. They reported this information to their king, Rogar. Their task being complete, the party decides to visit a neighboring tribe, venturing out of their native lands for the first time. Before they leave, Ivar spars with King Rogar's son, Wolden, on the proving grounds. He found the boy to be brash, arrogant, and careless. The party left before sunset to travel into the mountains to Talon's Peak, another hamlet of their tribe, in order to stay the night before making the long journey to faraway Blossom. The path to Talon's Peak is an extremely difficult climb, tough enough to prevent any horses from traveling there. But nevertheless, they hike up the unforgiving path to the edge of the mountain hamlet. Talon's Peak is a mountaintop hamlet, nuzzled into a crevice where the wind doesn't rake the mountainside. As they arrive, they go quickly to the High Mountain Inn, which is a common place for young Ruticai men and women to travel, in hopes of finding a husband or wife amongst the townsfolk of Talon's Peak. They enter the building and meet with the innkeep, Ongol. Why, hello. Welcome, friends. Very good to see you. I didn't think any more visitors would come before winter's dark. I bet you didn't. Well, you're looking at a band of fools. We'll be walking to Blossom tomorrow. How much for a room? Goodness, quite a risk to take. I hope there's some money in this for you. To stay is 4 ounces of copper each, please. Each of them pay their way for the night. When it comes time for Frigga to pay, Ongol speaks with her. Hey there, little lady. I bet you'd be even more attractive with a companion at your side. Very slowly, Frigga turns her head to gaze upon Ongol. Her expression had never been more dubious. In fact, I know someone who could easily step into that role. He raises his hand in front of himself and points back at his own chest.
Are you troubled, sir? You seem ill.
Perhaps I have the sickness of love. So suddenly it comes over me. Tell me, do you not find me handsome?
Handsome? As a horse.
So, would you be looking for a ride?
There is a place that I would like to be.
Where's that?
What is the name of that town where you are never seen?
Ongol freezes for a moment and tries to think of a way to save face. Oh, that sounds like a nice place. Let me show you to your room. The party follows Ongol upstairs to their room, Frigga taking the bed that is inside, while the other men lay on the floor. Ongol smiles to them wordlessly, closes the door, and heads back downstairs. He only has 1 bed in here. There's room for at least 4.
They say that this is a room for lovers. Many brides have met their husbands here.
Ugh, I wonder if he ever washes the sheets.
Frigga sits up and looks down at the bed, giving the blankets a sniff and making a strange face. She lays back down without speaking on the subject any further. January 9th. The 4 wake up in the morning and are drawn downstairs by the smell of meat cooking. When they go downstairs, Ongol is laying out the last plate on his guest table. The plates are full of salad, mixed with onions, turnips, and goat meat and cheese. Good morning. Have a seat. I have made you breakfast. The 4 sit at the table while Ongol pours them cups of ale.
A bit more greens than I'm used to. You are familiar with breakfast, right?
I find it nice to have a mix of food. A shame you won't be here for dinner.
You have a large herd of goats here. I saw them last night. I went and spoke with Jarl Dahl while you slept.
Not much grows here in the heights, but goats take to the mountainside well, so we have the young ones guide them around.
How easy it must be to just take the goat when you need, instead of hunting for it.
What did you speak to Dahl about? And why didn't you take me?
You were sleeping. I did not want to wake you. It was very hard to get here in the mountains. Perhaps there's something that can be done to ease travel. If we could get here easily, then maybe when our enemies attack, we would have a place to retreat to.
There is much our fathers could have done. We were just boys.
There is still much we can do.
Yes, we can listen to the wisdom of our king and pray for a worthy death. That's all a warrior need do.
Pray, pray, pray. Why bow before these stinking gods? What have they done for you? If we want a worthy death, we can make it ourselves. No need to ask the gods for any help. After eating their breakfast, the 4 thank Ongol for the meal and depart Talon's Peak, heading westward towards the coast. Yoth, wanting an animal companion for protection, summons a boar at the edge of the wood to accompany him, while Razwil looks on, amazed as always by Yoth's command over nature.
How is it that you are able to convince these animals to serve you?
You're interested in magic now? I'm not sure you have what it takes.
No doubt you are correct. I was only curious about the old ways of the tribe.
I can probably explain it in some way that you'll understand. You know the animals that we care for? Well, dogs mostly. When they pass, sometimes when they love us very much, they stay and guard over us. Some even stay for generations. Some animals stay even to protect the grandchildren of their old masters. Those kinds of spirits are very friendly with us. I can take them and put them into the bodies of other animals, and they can serve again as they did in their life. Of course, it doesn't last forever. The animal will take back control of its body eventually.
So the beasts continue to serve even after their death?
Only the ones that grew to love us most. Men and women flee our world after death, but the animals linger. Men's cares are fleeting, but you should never be cruel to a dog.
Can you teach these ways to the others in our tribe? These skills could help many who are suffering.
My old master Sanger taught me this. I doubt you ever knew him.
I met him once, but he did not speak to me. I stayed for a winter with a cousin of his.
Well, that's just as well. Your place is on the battlefield, not in the groves. You have a killer's blood. You should be proud of it. Anyways, it won't do any good for me to try to teach the young ones. Rogart has turned his back on the old ways. They call me the last sorcerer. Well, perhaps I will be the last one. They walk down to the foot of the mountain and skirt around the vast chain of mountains for miles until they reach the sandy coast. Once they're on the coast, they turn north towards Blossom, the seat of the Ruticai, about 18 miles away from their hometown. The path seems to stretch on endlessly, the repetitive sights of the coast to the left and the forest to the right, repeating ad nauseum. Near day's end, the travel-weary voyagers arrive in the outskirts of the village called Blossom. Perfect timing. Raswell, you see how the sun is setting now? When it's below the horizon, the boar will regain control of its body. I think this animal would be a good offering to the Ruticai. You warriors prepare yourselves. I'll tell you when. As the sun sets, the eyes of the boar widen as its senses return and it begins to panic. A quick javelin from Ivar and a spear thrust from Raswell make short work of the beast, and they harvest its meat to give as a gift to the Ruticai, wrapping it in some paper. Proceeding onward into Blossom, they meet several Ruticai guards.
Halt! Halt! Who is that, creeping in the darkness?
They are Ruticai, you idiot. Look at the hair.
Oh. Well, they could have been Arvil, you ass.
They came from the south, so obviously they are Ruticai.
Arvil could have come from the south.
Ah yes, the tactical genius of attacking 4 men, walking in the open, coming directly for hostile territory.
Now listen, I didn't ask to be stuck on this post with you.
Hey! Yes, we're Ruticai. We just wanted to visit.
Are you here to talk to Starkhammer?
Who is that?
He's the king. Did you come to speak with him?
Oh, we would like to talk to him.
Yes, we will speak with him.
Well, that's too bad. He's traveling right now.
Just let him in. You folk can sleep in the temple tonight. Most people are home now. Whatever business you have, it can wait for tomorrow.
Thank you. Oh, we have brought you a gift.
The group walks past the guards, offering them the pack of boar meat as tribute as they pass. They go to the temple, which is on top of a small mound that looked man-made in the center of town. As they enter, they each drop a coin in the offering box, as is customary for travelers spending a night in a village temple. Yoth tries to walk past the box without paying, but a stern glance from Ivar sends him back to the box to drop a coin in. Inside the temple are looming depictions of Herni, to whom the temple is dedicated. They sit and listen to the recitation of a skald, alongside several rangers while they drift slowly into a travel-weary sleep. January 10th. A new sun rising over Blossom wakes the group and sends them outside to look over the village. The village is crowded, especially at the docks and the market. Since there are far more people milling about than there are buildings in Blossom, the party guesses that many of these people must not be locals. The docks in Blossom are small, smaller than those in Splinter Harbor, and yet, since there are vessels docked there, both of Ruticai and of other tribes, they seem much more alive than their gloomy home. A major feature of Blossom is the large mound, to which there are some doors of entry, and guards standing watch outside.
That must be the king's hall. Let us pay him a visit.
As they make their way over to the mound, their appearance draws the attention of a slender man with a cracked face, but wealthy clothing. He approaches them with an obvious haste.
Hail, visitors! The 4 of you look a bit fair to have been traveling from the north. I bet that you are Ruticai.
Ivar looks to his kin. He had to admit that they stood out compared to the other men and women in Blossom, who had darker hair and complexion.
You guessed right. We're from Seaspear.
Here for work, then. Good to see some enterprising young men. I was only 16 when I took over my father's salt kilns. But you don't have the look of merchants, nor farm hands. So I must guess that you are fighting men, befitting of the Ruticai's reputation.
Right again, old man. I am Ivar. This is Razuel, Frigga, and Yoth.
And I am Odie, distiller of salt. When I saw you, I had hoped that my summation of you would be correct. Listen, I have a proposition.
Razuel stiffened, amazed to see that merely by walking through the village they had already been offered some work.
Go on.
I hate to be so forward, but I know that a warrior doesn't care much for pleasantries. I have been the victim of a terrible wrong. My brother was murdered, and the murderer is a man of my own tribe. His slayer is named Torvald, a berserker called Bear Killer. One night while drinking in Highwall, my brother asked Torvald to help protect the farm through winter. No one knows what words were exchanged, but by the end of their conversation, Torvald had hewn my brother with his great axe. I brought Torvald to trial, where the dog paid me the 15 pieces of gold I was owed for the blood, and he went into exile as is our law. That 15 gold is a pittance for the life of my brother, a disrespect to me and my family. I have long wanted to take my vengeance upon him, but I am only a merchant, and cannot match the Berserker in combat.
The Berserker betrayed his vows and murdered his own tribe? What a disgrace!
It's true. He betrayed the tribes that he was sworn to protect. I will ask of you to avenge my brother and take his life. I cannot be of much assistance for this. Torvald would slay me with a single stroke, but I can offer payment, 5 pieces of gold for the life of an outlaw murderer.
Where does the murderer reside?
As he has been banished from our villages and burgs, he dwells now in the forest on his own. The forest against the feet of the mountains, northeast of Tinder Lake.
I know the place. The Venom Wood.
Yes, that's the place.
We accept. How shall we prove his death?
Bring me back his magic ring. There is no other like it. I will know if you take it. It's come from his dead finger.
Odie, for 5 ounces of gold, we will track him down and bring you your vengeance.
The party members speak amongst themselves and decide to go to Venomwood right away. Traveling west, the party passes over miles of farmland, which had been harvested a few months ago. Farming was a mystery to them, the Ruticai land being less than ideal for farming. In Suebia, the whole institution of farming was a relatively new phenomenon. Most Suebians were simple hunters and gatherers, taking their food from the abundance of nature, or else trading for it with foreign merchants. The agricultural lands of the Ruticai were a bizarre sight for the raiders.
You accepted his first offer?
A single ounce of gold is enough to buy all my earthly possessions. For 5, I would move a mountain.
It's not so much, Razuel, but it's an easy task for the two of you. No one can match Ruticai steel.
Why is it called the Venom Wood?
I don't know. I remember it from Sangir's map. I thought it sounded really awesome because of the name. I'm actually kind of excited. I always wanted to go there as a kid.
As the group travels north, they pass by the lakeside township of Tinder Lake, a town which is larger than any Ruticai settlement. On the path there, they meet a small band of hunters. Frigga waves them down.
Hail! We are here looking for a man named Torvald. We are told he is a berserker and an outlaw.
I bet you're here doing all this work. You aren't the first ones that's been sent after Torvald.
Really? So others have tried before?
Yeah, and never returned.
We have 2 Ruticai fighters with us. How good can Torvald be?
I reckon good enough.
Have you seen him before?
Yeah, I saw him years back before he was an outlaw. We were hunting a black bear, my brothers and I, in the foothills. When we cornered it against the cliffside, we thought we would take our prize. But just as we went to make the kill, Torvald ran out from the forest, wearing only his loincloths, and he killed the bear with a single blow from his axe, straight to the crown. We told him it was our kill, but he stared me down with the same look as he gave the bear. He pulled open the bear's mouth and started cutting out its tongue with a short knife. We decided it was best to let him have it, as that's the only time I met Torvald. They say he lives in Venomwood. I never go close to that spot, in case I meet him by mistake.
Thank you. We will go and find him, and your trips through the forest will be safe again.
Are you not afraid? As I said, he can kill a bear with a single blow.
The Ruticai are not a wealthy people. Fear is a luxury we cannot afford.
They trudge onward through the remaining farmland, which finally fades away into a fallow at the feet of the mountains, yielding into the domain of wild trees not yet humbled by the Ruticai's axes. The forest grew thick and tall there. Gnarled, twisting oaks mightily shade the undergrowth, and wet, squishy earth making a sick sound with each of their footsteps. Passing in deeper, the light fades under the heavy shade, and it becomes as night, though it were only noontime. Rasuil, who's leading the pack, walks through a spider web and bats it away with his hand, only to immediately walk into another. Frigga lit a torch and saw that the whole forest was rife with spider webs and thousands upon thousands of tiny spiders. Venomwood.
Yes, I see.
Traveling now through a mess of webs which they try to bat down whenever they're able to avoid walking through, they eventually come upon a human skeleton left out as a warning, its bones picked clean without a speck of flesh or gore left. Its head was cleft with a ghoulish adornment, a throwing axe left behind, still splitting the skull between the eye sockets.
Listen! A Berserker is a warrior blessed by Wotan. When he enters a berserk, he knows no fear or pain. He does not tire and cannot be stunned or slowed. Nor does his blood escape from his veins when he is cut. It is as cutting the earth. Despite this, we must kill him. He has betrayed Wotan by becoming a murderer, and for that alone, I owe him his destruction. The Berserker and the Valkyrie are two sides of the same coin. So in his dishonor, I too am dishonored. I must set this right.
Rasuil walks forward and pulls the axe free from the skull and puts it on his belt.
Waste not!
Yoth is creeping low, trying not to be seen. He looks up into the treetops where the torchlight is barely flickering, and he sees large creatures with faces full of eyeballs peering down at them, sets of mandibles chittering as they watch. Ivar, there's spiders above!
No shit. There are spiders everywhere.
No, you idiot! Look there! Ivar peered up to where Yoth was pointing, just in time to see the spiders climb higher out of view. We're in danger, and not just from Torvald.
Oh, fuck me. Shields up! Keep tight around Yoth.
The group of men encircle Yoth, Ivar and Rasuil with their weapons out, Frigga holding her shield and the torch. Their eyes strained against the dimly lit darkness on all sides, trying to make out distinct shapes, and their imaginations inventing false enemies.
I think I see something there.
Frigga opened her eyes wide, trying to take in as much light as she can in the dim undergrowth. She focused on one solitary figure, holding her breath so she could hear every sound. From out of the darkness came a swift movement, tumbling end over end, a throwing axe from beyond the edge of the torchlight. The axe thudded hard against Frigga's shield, and she shuddered in surprise, dropping the torch, which extinguished itself on the boggy wet ground. There was a horrible screeching sound, and a creature descended from the trees and landed on Rasuil, thick, hairy appendages wrapping around him. Rasuil dropped his arm in and grasped two of the chitinous legs in the darkness and held them fast. The squirming creature writhed in his arms, and he could feel numerous more legs beating against his chest and wrapping on his torso. A stinging pain came from his shoulder a moment later, which sent a numbness through his right arm. Rasuil groaned and jerked his arms against the legs with all his might, and they gave way, some sort of ichor spraying out from the creature over his stomach and legs. The creature clambered away, but Rasuil still had the legs in his hand, with strings of gore hanging limply from each end. Frigga ducked low and held her shield up, feeling on the ground for the extinguished torch. Ivar's eyes darted around in the darkness, seeing only swirling outlines.
What's happening? Frigga, light the torch!
Ivar could hear the footsteps of a man running towards him, He held his shield up, his eyes wide in the blackness. With the complete loss of his vision, Ivar listened to the sounds of the approaching enemy. When he heard a grunt, he raised his shield and took a great blow on its face. He could feel by the weight of the blow that it was made with the two-handed D&axe. The enemy ripped the axe back, taking Ivar's shield with it. Ivar sliced at the darkness, but hit nothing. A moment later, a hand axe fell against his helmet, hitting hard and ricocheting off, landing on his armored shoulder. The force of the impact left him dazed, sending him crashing to his hands and knees.
He can see in the dark!
Yoth, in a panic, closes his eyes and tries to imagine the scene around him. With his arms cast out, he draws in all the spirits he can sense in the forest and prepares to use them for his magic. Frigga, who was fumbling around on the ground, had found the torch and dropped her shield. She began striking flint in an attempt to light it. As the torch resumed to cast its glow over the battlefield, Frigga looked up from her position on her knees and locked eyes with the Berserker, mostly hidden behind his shield, standing directly in front of her. He was a large man, a beast, his eyes pitch black like those of an animal and garbed in an assortment of fetid carcasses of spiders. Torvald let out a huff, like a bull does before charging. Frigga grasped the torch in her left hand, her right holding the grip of her sheathed dagger.
You betrayed your vows!
They stared one another down for another 2 seconds. Frigga pulled the dagger free and vaulted up from her knees, plunging the dagger towards Torvald's guts. Torvald swung his axe around in a great arc and swung her away, hitting her in the head and throwing her to the ground motionless, the torch falling and leaving them once again in the darkness.
Enough!
Yoth unleashed a swirling vortex of spirits and felt out for the presence of the Berserker, which he had detected as a dark scar where even the spirits were afraid to go. Something was protecting Torvald from Yoth's magic, not in the sense that Torvald was immune, but rather that something from within Torvald was issuing a warning not to tread any further. Let us shed blood no more! Walk away, Torvald, and I will not use my magic against you. Yoth could not see his enemy. He spoke into the void, but he could sense his presence. Yoth drew his spirits around the dark spot where he knew the Berserker must be standing and waited for him to make a move, ready to invade the mind of the murderer at a moment's notice.
Don't tell me what to do!
Yoth felt the presence of Torvald quickly bolt away and disappear completely at last, at which point Yoth finally let the magic dissipate and sighed a sigh of relief. Yoth brought out a new torch and lit it, looking over his battered friends. Razuil grasping at his limp arm, Ivar groaning as he stands to his feet, and Frigga laying still, sprawled out on the ground.
I have been bitten. My arm is completely numb.
Yoth dashed to Frigga's side to see if she was dead. He touched her head and found some blood, but only a minor wound. She was unconscious. He hit her with the back of the axe.
I'll follow him.
Don't you dare! We're lucky to be alive right now. If we're gonna try this again, we need to think.
I could have killed him if I'd had light.
I know that. No doubt he knows that too. He may have more tricks yet. Let's return to Tinder Lake. Sangir had once spoken of a healer that lived there named Björn. Let's hope he's still alive. The party, thoroughly defeated, rose from the ground and walked their way out of the Venom Wood and back to Tinder Lake. Ivar carried the unconscious Frigga. With the silent aura of defeat hanging over them, the three arrived in Tinder Lake as the sun was setting and went into the township, asking around if anyone knew where Bjorn was living.